Yes, it's getting later and later in the day. The nights are getting darker, but I swear to God, if I see Bill Murray this early in the year, as in this weekend, I will be pulling what is remaining of my hair out because I do not want a repeat. I do not want fucking Groundhog Day. How's everybody doing? Hope you're okay. Newcastle United back in action again. The games are coming as thick as your average Mackem and as fast as Lewis Hamilton. We're down in London again playing Brentford. It's going to be a difficult game. It's this Sunday on the Sky TV cameras once again, and I'm hoping for not a repeat of last weekend, because sat down watching that game, perhaps the worst performance under Eddie Howe so far. I was losing my shit. I really was. So frustrated, from the goalkeeping to the defending to the midfield, the lack of energy, the lack of anything, the wingers not chipping in, barring probably Murphy, and then, you know, striking wise, Big Nick being so isolated up top. I am hoping for a reaction. Now, I did say this midweek, I was hoping for some fireworks. Obviously, November 5th, driving into Newcastle, coming up through Gateshead, there were fireworks going off left, right and centre. I was hoping for a few more fireworks out on the pitch. We got the result, we got the victory. Impressive, we're doing well in the Champions League, but there certainly wasn't fireworks, was there, on the pitch. It was a little bit more sparklers as opposed to fireworks. Now, this weekend, this is where it matters, because for me, if we're not taking care of the bread and butter, it does affect the enjoyment of the Champions League, those bonus games that we all worked and all dreamt of so hard last season. If we're not going to back it up with doing the business in the Premier League, it's sort of really slightly in vain. Apart from a few million quid for a victory, obviously, midweek, which will be very handy for the new powers that be in charge of Newcastle, the day-to-day, or David Hopkinson and co. But back on the pitch, you know, I felt midweek we had good spells in the game. It wasn't a fantastic performance. There was a fantastic goal in it. Dan Bird's header, literally one of the best headers I've seen since his last headed goal at Wembley. Unbelievable to get the spin that he did on that goal. Great goal from Dan Burn. Joe Linton, pleased for him as well. Hasn't had a great start of the season, so delighted that he was able to score a good goal, and also pleased to have seen him play a little bit further up. You know, during the match, I think we needed that. 2-0, it should have been 3-0. It could have easily been 3 or 4-1. They did have the opportunities midweek, did Athletic Club. However, we got the points and we move on now. And, you know, I still think the pressure is on. I think there was a lot of people quite pissed off midweek with certain players' performance, you know, from the weekend. And everybody around me was saying basically the same. You know, we need to see a reaction. We need to get the league campaign going this weekend. It's important that we start to pick up victories away from home, as well as getting the points on the board at St James's Park. And yeah, it's a difficult assignment. You would argue if we couldn't beat West Ham last week, it's going to be double as difficult against Brentford down at the G-Tech. But that is what we must aim to do. There's no doubt about it. We're languishing in the wrong half of the table, and although it's still early in the season, and you know, those of you with good memories will remember last year being 12th in the table come December, and that campaign really didn't work out too badly for us, did it? Finishing off, winning the League Cup, and of course ending up in the Champions League. But we are going to have to draw a line somewhere in the domestic campaign and really go for it. We are going to have to start stringing results together, and that includes getting results and being hard to beat away from home. So fingers crossed we put in a performance this weekend. We are missing a few players. A few more picked up knocks and stuff midweek, didn't they? So they won't make this game. Tino Livramento, he won't be risked. He's back out. He's in training. He's on the grass. It's encouraging. I see him more potentially coming back. There's no point in risking him for one game when we've got an international break and a chance to reset and continue the training and continue the rehab. Makes more sense to let him miss this game and then look towards the Manchester City. Nice easy match when we get back at St James's Park. But it's better to keep him back and to sort of start to think maybe about that game. I think we've got 3 games in the week as soon as we come back. I think it's Manchester City, Marseille away, and then Everton, I believe. That's just off the top of my head, so it could be anything like. But Yeah, 3 big games. I expect to see him back for those games. I wouldn't be surprised to see him involved on the bench for the Manchester City game and maybe get a couple of minutes towards the end of that one and build it up by bit. It'll be great to have Livramento back because I did worry that he'd be out for the season. Lewis Hall is somebody who is back but isn't fit enough to start yet, according to what Eddie Howe said today. So look for him to make more substitute appearances. I think he'll get on the bench this weekend. I think Dan Burn will get the nod at left back again. Let's hope he scores another worldie header. Fingers crossed. Everything crossed. More injuries. Anthony Gordon. I know he's had an absolute howler for the past 21 domestic games. 19 no assists, 21 with no goals. He was probably wanting to come back and strong and probably silence some of the criticism that's been heading his way, but he's most likely not going to get that opportunity. I think they'll withdraw him from this game and keep him ready and back. He'll join up with England and probably get some minutes off the bench there and come back, hopefully fit and firing when it comes to the Manchester City game, a big game after the international break. Harvey Barnes, therefore, will get the start, and I'm more than pleased to be able to see Harvey Barnes get a start. A great cross for the second goal for Joe Linton to absolutely just nicely smash into the back of the net. So no problems with Barnes starting this weekend as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, injury-wise, again, we're limping through. We've got some players who sort of need minutes, who need training, are going to probably benefit from this international break. One player who won't be there, we've had a penciled in date from, a couple of weeks ago. Missed that one. We had a return date told to us for West Ham. Missed that one. Athletic Club were the other one who, again, penciled in. He could make his return in that game. Hasn't been the case. It's not because of an injury or a complication or anything else like that. We've all seen the pictures of his legs still bandaged up. According to Eddie Howe today at the press conference, it is just being ultra careful and building his fitness up and taking into regard that he hasn't had a pre-season. Now, if Congo and their coaches had thought the same sort of thing, then we probably wouldn't have been in this mess that we're in the first place. So he's getting there. He's out in the grass. He's not a million miles away. All the whispers are suggesting that there may well be a bit of a behind closed doors friendly arranged for him over these next 2 weeks. Get some minutes there, continue his training, continue his fitness work, so that when he does come in to the main, the main first team fold, that he's hitting the ground running, that he's not a million miles behind, like maybe some other striker who might be a million miles behind where he needs to be. But yeah, I would expect to see him involved the first week back. Personally, that's just from what I've heard, good feeling. Those first 3 games that we've got when we come back, I wouldn't be surprised to see him somewhere amongst the substitute bench in those games. And we need to get him back because there's no doubt there's a massive hole that's being left by him not being there. Big Nick is having to carry all the weight. Now, he's a big bloke, but fair is fair. We need to be able to share out the responsibility for the striking duties a little bit more. So Vista not a million miles away. No setback in his recovery, no new injury, nothing like that. Just giving him what would be a normal pre-season, so that when we get him back, we get him back at the very best version that he can be. So that makes sense. That's okay. It does leave us short this weekend because Asula, he's been carrying this ankle injury for quite a while. It was pulled last minute after a scan Wednesday against Athletic Club, and he's not going to be available for this weekend. So it does, again, leave us very, very light up top. You would probably think we've got Big Nick to be able to start to do the majority of the work up there by himself, running all about, trying his very, very best. And then after that, it's Alanga, isn't it? He went up to be the centre forward for the end of the Champions League game. It's not ideal, is it? It's not ideal. But hopefully, Sean Neave might get a look in. I think he's got to consider putting him at least on the bench as an option and giving him some minutes towards the end of the game. Look, if we're winning the game comfortably 2-0 with 5-10 minutes to go, you bring him on, you give him the experience. We get to see him and how he copes in that situation. If we're losing the game, it's a roll of the dice. And again, he's going to want to prove a point. He's going to want to impress. So again, you never know. He's scoring goals, for the reserve sides and stuff. So there has to be a chance. There has to be a moment And this might be it. This, Asula, a couple of weeks out, we're told he just needs rest. This might be the perfect opportunity to bring Sean Neve in and see what he can do. If he gets himself a goal, gets himself an assist, what an absolute huge confidence boost it'll be to the lad. And we might save ourselves a few quid. So let's have a look at him. Let's see how he goes on that one. So fingers crossed. I would not be against seeing Sean Neve at least on the bench at the weekend. Let me know down below what you think of that. Literally no other options, end of the day. But it is what it is. But the most important thing, and it really doesn't matter how well we play, how effective the wingers are, if the midfield are too deep or if they're perfect or whatever. What matters ultimately at the end of this weekend is that we get that elusive win. Get the monkey foul back and relax going into the international break, because you go in off a defeat or a frustrating performance, you don't picking up the points. We're already sort of languishing in the league, and you're allowing the gap to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the European sides. And it just leaves that dark cloud over the club, over the international break. So I'm desperate for the 3 points. And if it comes 1-0 courtesy of a ricochet of Dan Burns' ass in the 90th minute, I really do not care. I would love to go out there, do what we did against West Ham, get the early goal. Jacob Murphy, cracking. He's got his shooting boots on this season, hasn't he? Old Jacob Murphy. But then not switch off. Then not think that the job is done. Then not get too complacent, too lazy or whatever. I want to see a shift being put in by each and every one of these lads. The majority of which, a large percentage, are going to get a little bit of time off after this game. So earn your time off. And for the international players, you want to go away with your countries on a positive, a positive step. And looking at the squads, looking at the players we've got available and the size of the clubs, etc., with the greatest respect to Brentford, no disrespect towards them at all, no beef, no nothing, because I'm even totally 100% in agreement with their stance on what happened with Visser over the summer. Totally and utterly unprofessional, totally and utterly uncalled for. But Newcastle should beat Brentford 99.9% of the bloody time with the greatest of respect. So the pressure is on. Eddie Howe's feeling the pressure, the players are feeling the pressure, and the need to, because what was served up last time, around for the fans who travelled and paid the hard-earned money to watch that, it wasn't good enough. So the need to for this match, a definite receipt performance, the need to be able to pay back the fans' faith and belief. I was taken aback, going to the Champions League game midweek. The atmosphere was absolutely great. Prior to the match kicking off, the singing, people there stood applauding the players. And I thought, after the performance that they gave and they served up against West Ham, I thought it was an absolute... they were so lucky. The players were so lucky. Because many other clubs, that wouldn't have been the case. So I think they were really, really lucky. They were privileged to get the response that they got, because I think at any other club, it would have been a very, very toxic atmosphere. But, there was people singing Nick Pope songs, clapping all the players. And it encouraged them to perform. They got the job done in Europe. Now they need to get the job done in the Premier League. No excuses, no fatigue, no players missing, none of that shit. We've got the squad, we've got the players, we've got better players than what they have got. And it's just down to the system, it's down to tactics, and it's down to their mental attitude and, them getting up for these sort of bread and butter games. It's no good getting up for the good big glamour ties against the big sides, whether that's domestically or in Europe, and then not doing the business when it's Brentford away, West Ham away. There's no excuse for that sort of thing to be going on. There's no justification for it whatsoever. So looking for a response, looking for 3 points. The performance comes after that, to be honest, because that's just the way that it is, and we've backed ourselves into a corner. We need the result more than anything else. Previously, I'd have probably said, look, if we're doing the performances, if we're creating the chances, the results will eventually come. Now is the time. We've gone past where we need to go, and where we need to say, look, we need some results. We need the results. We need the points on the board. We need to be pulling away from where we are and catching up with the teams that are above us. No panic stations at the moment at all, but it's with the sort of realisation that we do have a talented team. They are going to click. Someone is going to get an absolute pasting at some time, somewhere during the season, because the lads have got to be hurting. They've got to be looking at that league table and feeling a little bit embarrassed, a little bit apologetic about how things have gone domestically, but get a few victories in the league, it'll push us right up there. We're still doing absolutely fantastic. We're still in the League Cup with every chance to be able to get through to the semi-final stage at least. We're still very, very well placed in Europe. Another victory. We've got PSV, haven't we, at home still to come up. Another victory should probably do it for us. 12 points, you think, would be enough to get through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. So, like I say, things can turn around very, very quickly. And it's important to look at the whole situation and not overreact to one game, no matter how terrible the performance was, not to overreact to that one. So let me know who you would start at the weekend. Personally, I can't say Pope being changed around. I know there's been a huge clamour for Ramsdale also, mainly across social media, to be able to start. He's not going to do that. Pope will be in goal. The defence, I think, right back pretty much picks itself. I thought Trippier was my man of the match midweek. Top lad, really a top lad. He'll play there. I don't want to risk Emil Kraft again. I really don't, not after that performance last time out. But I think it'll be Trippier at right back. The two defenders centrally pick themselves. Malik Chow, who he was the only other real contender I felt for man of the match at the midweek game in the Champions League. Malik Chow playing in the middle alongside Sven Botman. Then left back. This is the question mark. A lot of people are saying play Hall, play Hall, play Hall. And believe me, I'm waving that flag. I want Lewis Hall to play. I thought he looked fantastic coming on. Full of energy, fresh, rejuvenated. It was a breath of fresh air, really, really was. That was my most important moment, seeing him back from the midweek victory, to be honest. But we all know it's going to be Dan Burn at left back. Lewis Hall's going to be on the bench. He'll get some minutes in the second half, I've no doubt about it. In the middle of the park, they had a much better second half. I can't see him changing it. Joe Linton will offer a little bit more protection when you're away from home than what you would imagine Jacob Ramsey would do. Jacob Ramsey's still finding his way, still finding his feet, and I don't think he particularly trusts Joe Willock. Lewis Miley could be an option. You could bring him into the midfield to freshen it up. I think he'll go Joe Linton, but if not, it would be Lewis Miley and next to Sandro Tonali and Bruno as well. That'll be your midfield three. On your left-hand side, Harvey Barnes. I don't think we see Gordon in this one whatsoever. When Harvey Barnes needs to come off, I think you'll probably see either Joe Linton pushed out wide left, or you could also play Ramsey there as well, because he's done that before. On the right-hand side, Alanga should be absolutely fresh as a daisy, because he's actually done absolutely fuck all since he's come from Forest. His time will come. Quality player. His time will come, no doubt about it. But I would expect to see, and I think, again, it would be really, really harsh if we didn't see Jacob Murphy, one of the most consistent performers week in, week out. No matter what the job, no matter what the assignment, he tries his very best. He's not up, then down, up, and then down. He's just consistent and steady. He gets the ball, he tries to cross it in, he takes a shot. That's pretty much Jacob Murphy in a nutshell. I think he starts in this game as well. And up top, it will be obviously Nick Voltemada. We have nobody else left. I don't think he would go with the kamikaze option of putting Neve in from the start. I think we see Neve on the bench, and I would like to see him come on. He's got to be given an opportunity. Young lad, knows what it means, knows what the shirt means, and give him a few minutes at least in the game. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Give him something to be able to make an impression and to show everybody what he's capable of, because even Eddie Howe spoke in glowing terms about the lad. He's a goal scorer. He does well in training all the time. So if he does that, he does well. He's impressed you. Give him the opportunity, give them the platform, and who knows, wouldn't it be great if he got his first Premier League goal at the weekend? So fingers crossed for the lad. That's what I think the team's going to be. Let me know down below what you think as well in the comments. Also subscribe to the channel as well if you don't mind. It does help. There's no cost. I don't like that. It just helps the channel grow. It helps the algorithm. It keeps YouTube, the YouTube gods happy, and so on. And whilst you're on, check us out on all the other social media platforms as well. Your Facebooks, your Twitter, or whatever it wants to be called this week. Threads, etc, etc, etc. We're on TikTok as well. I put a couple of videos up from the midweek Champions League game up on there, because Facebook and YouTube are getting a little bit shady about a little bit of background music. I know there's been a lot of chatter at the moment about the changing of the songs at St James's Park. Well, YouTube didn't like the fact that Local Hero was playing in the background, as I took a fantastic video of the huge surfer flag being unfolded in the Gallagher end midweek. But that video is up and over on our TikTok channel. It's also up on Twitter. They want to ask you in particular about the video going up on there. But yeah, everybody else got the handbags out, so you know, que sera, sera, and all that sort of thing. So subscribe to us across all the channels. Appreciate your support, and yeah, we'll be back with further videos all over the weekend and the reaction. And of course, Toon Talk will be back on Monday at the usual time. It'll be tea time on Monday. That's uploaded. And thank you for the fantastic support, feedback, and comments that you've been making on Toon Talk. We really appreciate. We all really enjoy it. Different people on different weeks. So if you don't like yours truly speaking, it might be Kyle on another week or one of the other lads. We try and keep it rotated and changing it around so that you know, Ian's got different people to be able to talk to and get different views and that sort of thing. We've all got slightly different experiences. Some of us are a little bit shorter of hair and some of us have got some more hair, so that type of thing. But in the meantime, take care, keep it tuned, and I'll speak to you later.
Join us Monday for Toon Talk, a Newcastle United podcast by Magpie 24/7.